Hello everyone, this is Chrism and I'm just here. I noticed on the playback that the last one, the sound was kind of choppy, so I'm trying this microphone here in order to see if I can remedy that. So there we have it, that's why I'm here. But if you do have any questions, and you do want to ask any questions that are personal to you, then I'll be happy to do that, providing that you're even hearing the sound here. Oh, wait a minute. Jeez. Right, let's try that. Let's see. Setting it up. I guess I'll be able to see which one is the best. Set up and ready to go. Okay. So here we have it. You heard me without the mic and now with the microphone here. So if you can let me know if it's working or not, or I suppose I'll find out if I look at it. If you have any questions and you want to ask your question, please go ahead. And if you don't have any questions, then I'm just going to talk a little bit here and see if I can improve the sound quality here. So next week it's not as bad. I know what the event log is. What the heck is that? Let's see. All right, so I will just go ahead and talk a little bit. Talk a little bit more about purification. When we have karma, we begin to purify our body in ways that we would never have intended. Karma is the ultimate purifier, and it will purify the soul and the spirit more so than the physical body. Kundalini itself will purify the physical body, but the karma purification can be very, very different. So, as I mentioned in the last talk that I gave without this microphone here, karma will bring a person into life preloaded for a specific set of circumstances. And that circumstances can be the dynamics of the family that the person is being born into. Is it a religious family? Is it a wealthy family? Is it a poor family? You know, what are the dynamics of the family that that person is being born into? Are they the oldest? Are they the second oldest? The third oldest? The middle child? The least? You know, the baby of the family? Where are they placed within the family? And this is important to understand for a person that has Kundalini, because you need to understand kind of how you fit into your own karma. Were you abused as a child? Were you sexually abused or molested? Were you physically beaten or emotionally beaten as a child? How was your childhood? And because the childhood is basically based on what the person's karma needs to do to make them prepared to have and hold Kundalini at a later time in that lifetime. It's like the Chinese curse, you know, may you experience all your karma in one lifetime. Well, Kundalini requires that you visit a lot of your karma in that one lifetime, and the karma will come, and it's not so sequential as we would like it to think. Karma is not all about, you know, okay, A plus B equals C. It's there's a karma for a person when they're a child, like from 8 to 10. You know, there's specific karmas for that age group, and then there's specific karmas for the teenage group. There's specific karmas for the young adult, specific karmas for the adult, specific karmas for the mature adult and the elder adult, etc., and so forth. And so you're not getting rid of all your karma when you're a child, but you are getting some of it. Some of it is being taken care of, and it's the stuff that needs to get taken care of where you have no choice. Some will tell you, well, you don't have a choice about your karma anyway. But you do, because you can alleviate your karma by doing some things in your current lifetime. Not all things, but some things, like being of service to others, can alleviate your karma to some degree, but not to the degree that it interferes with the Kundalini. Okay. If it interferes with the Kundalini, then it's just not going to happen. Oh, look at this. Okay, I see people here. Okay, so once again, I'm testing out the new microphone or the different microphone, so that I don't get such a choppy quality. I mean, I see you're there, Eamon. I see you're there, Paula. And you say that, Paula, you say you can hear me, but is the sound quality choppy? Is it like a jump cut on a film? You know, where it's kind of coming like, like that. I mean, I don't want that. I mean, I'll go out and buy another microphone right now, today, if I can. So if you can let me know, Paula or Eamon or Susan, Greta, anybody there, let me know how the sound quality is coming through. Are you getting a stream of sound with it instead of a choppy kind of? Anyway, so getting back to the karma, the karma that a person has as a child within a Kundalini context, within the context of a person that's going to have Kundalini in their lifetime, that karma you don't get to be controlled. Oh, it is choppy. Huh. It blips every so often. I just hate that. Oh boy. So I guess I have to go out and buy a thing. Anybody know of the kind of mic that I can get that won't have that blip in it? Anybody know? Gabriel, Susan? Let's try this. I'm going to do an Om, and let me know if it blips for you during the Om. So here we go. So are you saying it's blipping, Susan? It's blipping in the Oz? And I really appreciate your help with that, Susan. I wonder if it is the internet connection. Well, thank you, Gabriel, for that. I never thought it could be. I mean, I've got 3 out of 4 bars on the internet on the internet connection here, and you're saying it's regular. It's like almost like a pulse. It sounds like. Well, do you want to hear any more about karma? And I'll just kind of like make it a short one. Send me some smiley faces, and I'll continue about the karma here. Louise. God, you just can't get a clean sound. If it is the internet connection, I'll have to go somewhere else. I don't see any smiley faces, so I guess I understand, Susan, that it comes through, but I want it to come through clean. And blessings to you there in let's leave that place. It's gold in Cherokee. Means gold in the language of the Cherokee. Oh, I can't remember. Yes, please. Okay, I see some smiley faces. All right, here we go. So, the person that's come preloaded to have a Kundalini lifetime comes preloaded with that level of karma for the Kundalini lifetime. And the childhood karma, no matter how bad it is, and it can be awesomely bad, it can be horrible. A person can be mentally, physically, emotionally, sexually abused, all at the same time. It is very difficult. I suffered periods of pretty strong emotional and physical abuse as a child as well. And, you know, I came into it with this Kundalini going. So even if you come into life with the Kundalini, you're going to deal with the karma. It is going to happen, and you just have to deal with it as a child. So if you have kids, and you're a Kundalini active yourself, and they're spending time around a Kundalini active parent, pay attention to what's happening to them, because sometimes it's going to be difficult. They're going to have some sort of a problem that is severe, and it's part of what they need to have. It doesn't mean that you don't step in as a parent and you do your best to try to make it better. But let's just say that you're in a marriage where one spouse is abusive to the children, hitting them, or worse yet, molesting them in some way. This doesn't mean that you don't stop it and get out of that union and get the kid away from that adult. But it does mean that had to happen. There was no accident that had to happen, or it wouldn't have happened. Oh, hello, people. Wow, I didn't realize that people would be on. So I apologize for the folks that are tuning in right now. I've tried to improve the sound. The last one on purification, the sound was really blotchy. And Susan's telling me right now that I'm still getting breaks in the sound. I wonder how I can get through that. Maybe if I do this, maybe that will help. Anyway, so yeah, we don't get to have control over the karma that we experience as a child. I've read that, Jamie. That's very cool. We don't get to have control over that. We have to experience it in whatever way. My mother was married 5 separate times to 5 or 6 separate men, and my father was also married that many times. And I can tell you from the inside out what ruins a marriage. But I had to deal with that. I had to deal with that as a kid. I had to deal with these different men coming into my life and punishing me or trying to direct me, or in some way inflicting themselves on me by virtue of my mother moving myself and my brother and sisters into that kind of a household. And so I know a lot about the dynamics of a marriage without being married myself. So yeah, the karma in the early life must be dealt with. And you can help your child deal with that karma by just letting them know that it's okay, that you love them, that you will always love them, and you will do your best as a parent to keep them safe, secure, happy, and healthy. Part of the karma may come to them as night terrors, where entities, which are real, come to them and terrorize them every night. I had that happen for a long time, really long time. For like over a decade, I had that as a child. And you as a child may have had that, and other, your own kids may be having that too. So the karma and the Kundalini go hand in hand, and it is absolutely a necessity for you to experience that karma, and it's a form of redemption. It's like a positive and a negative hookup, and once they touch, boom, it's gone. That karma is finished. Okay, but they've got to touch. They've got to touch in order for that to happen. And so it's the karma touching the life of the individual that allows that karma to experience redemption. And this, once again, this opens the way for more Kundalini for the person at the time that it's going to come in their life for that to come. And some people have a lot of karma, but they still come into the Kundalini and they get kind of caught up in the... Somebody had an angry face there. I said, oh, well, okay. Some people have a lot of karma. I think I had a lot of karma. And because that karma was so strong, I had to struggle and I had to suffer with it because it wasn't going away. First of all, you don't get to know that it's karma. You just think it's like bad luck or just a shitty life, or like, you go through all these thought programs and you're just like, what the heck how come I'm not the son of a billionaire? How did that not happen? I'm a good person, sort of. I've made mistakes, but still, how come I'm not the son of a billionaire? Why don't I have everything that my little heart desires? And so people go through that. It's just like, why? Why is this happening to me? Why did my mom have to die? Why did my dad have to die? Why did why don't I have brothers and sisters to share with? All of these different questions coming up that are specifically due to the karmic equation of that individual. Why? And you just have to get to the point where you understand that it is okay. It is okay to not have the ideal life. In some ways, in many ways, the lack of an ideal life serves you much better than an ideal life ever could. You hear that people saying that, wow, if you don't have people that hate you, then you haven't been standing for anything. I think that's the equation. I forget. But for the most part, you don't want to have an ideal life. You want to have a life with problems. Because not only of the karmic nature, but look at that hairstyle. Here's my ego kicking in. But because you can balance the karma, but you can also learn from the problem. How do you solve the problem in a way that it's helpful and healthy for you and for another person, if another person is involved? How do you treat the planet? Do you spray weed killer all over your lawn because you don't like plants that society has termed a weed? Do you enjoy pulling the wings off flies? Or, how do you treat the environment? How compassionate are you with the environment? So all these things mix into the karma. They mix into the issues that the Kundalini is going to bring to the fore within your lifetime experience. Remember, I'm specifically talking about karma for the pre-Kundalini loaded individual. The karma comes preloaded into the person, and how much of the knowingness are you receiving from the karma that you're experiencing? What levels of wisdom is coming through? You see, you don't get wisdom by having everything that your little heart desires. You get wisdom by having to work through the problem in a way that closely reflects a divine, I'm getting strange words here, like a divine imperium is the word that came, but that can't be right. Imperium? Really? A divine principle. Divine principle. So karma is really an essential tool for people that are having the Kundalini. Karma is huge. It's a huge subject because, you know, Kundalini can be so amazingly difficult. You know, it is no accident that the difficulty is so severe that people commit suicide because they can't get out of their ego expectations. They commit suicide because the level of pain is just too strong. And most of that is emotional pain. It's not necessarily physical pain. Sometimes you will have levels of neuropathy from the Kundalini that can resemble a physical pain to the point where it just drives you nuts, right? But for the most part, it's emotional pain. Heartbreak is really good for suicide. Having a DNS, a dark night soul, come upon you, and you know, where you lose your house, you lose your job, you lose your source of money, you lose everything in your life. No family, no friends, no place. You're just like a naked human walking across a physical environment and a social environment where nobody really sees you. Nobody sees you. Nobody really cares. Nobody reaches out to help you except one place. That's the Kundalini grace. She helps you, but it's you being forced into that equation in order to allow that assistance to take place. You know, if you're working at your job, you got your wife, you got your kids, you got your husband, you got your kids. You know, you have all of these distractions in life. You don't really have the opportunity to open into the arms of grace. I'm not saying that that's the only way that it has to happen. Of course not. You know, of course you can be part of a family that does have the availability, and your karma may reflect that availability to have those teachings come to you while you're still in a family unit. But in severe cases, you know, if you're having a DNS and everything's falling away, those are the times when the Kundalini can come on the strongest. Seriously, these are the areas that I went into. I didn't have a family. I wasn't married. I didn't have kids. And so she made me literally like a ghost in society. I remember walking down streets and going, if this is all there is to it, I'm really not interested. Just not interested. And a lot of people will have that happen to them and they'll just end their life. This is not an easy equation. Not at all. And the battering of the emotional body is one of the worst areas. Because there's no bandage to fix that. Psychology is so far behind Kundalini that it doesn't even come close. You have to hear it from another person that you know has the Kundalini. Psychologists go, oh, well, we got a medicine for that. Sorry. Sorry to all you psychologists out there. I'm just kidding. Oh, yeah. Anyway, so Danny Butler is asking, are you free of karma after the Kundalini? No. No. You are not free of karma after the Kundalini. As a matter of fact, in the process of getting the Kundalini and having the Kundalini, you've created karma. You create karma just by being on this world. Just by breathing the air. Even breathing the air, you're taking the life of creatures of God. So you're creating karma. But Don't get me wrong. I mean, there is good karma too. They call them golden handcuffs, and there are good karma. You know, you can be that billionaire. Let's just go back to the billionaire equation. You can be the billionaire. You can like start helping all these people. George Soros does that a lot. You know, he's a billionaire, and he goes out and he helps massive amounts of people. Brings them to the United States and gives them education, and you know, he does a lot of good work with his money. Okay, so you know, the guy's developing some pretty awesome karma, I think, just by virtue of that. So yeah, karma after your Kundalini awaken can come on very, very, very strong. And once again, Danny, I mentioned earlier that karma can be temporal. It can have a temporal connection. So in order to balance a karma, like say in a previous life you did something really bad at the age of 37, well then your karma will also reflect that balancing when you reach the age of 37 in this life. See what I'm saying? So your karma is not done, but the way you receive your karma, the way you respond to your karma may be different. That you have the Kundalini, because the Kundalini is constantly refining us, constantly teaching us. And if it's a really, really challenging karma, then you want to be very confident that the Kundalini is watching you very, very closely. She does not want to lose her Kundalini child. Not to the ego, not to society. Okay. Look at all those hearts. Somebody's laughing at that too. What is that? My God, how many people are laughing here? This could be some comedic hour. Oh, only one person. Okay, all right. Uh-oh, we got somebody sad too. Oh my gosh. Oh well. So now feel free to ask any questions about then. Now with Dharma, yeah, it's more of an in-life thing. But really, I want to talk about karma because people have such questions. You know, they strive to go to the Akashic records. Listen, if you're going to the Akashic records, you need to look at what level of manipulation you might be under in order to feel that you're going to the Akashic records and you're looking up things. Now, perhaps the Kundalini is allowing a person to think in such ways so that they can come into a level of balance of who they are, what they are, how they are, and what they need to be, where they need to go, and what they need to do. And if that is the equation, then fine. But there really need not be an Akashic record at all, because the Akashic record is here and in the heart. That's the Akashic record. Karma is also an Akashic record. The karma of an individual. On a soul level, you know what you've done. You don't need to go to some fictitious library and some fictitious librarian right out of Harry Potter and, you know, say, wave your wand and say, you know, levitate my karma. No, you don't need to do that. You need to trust your Kundalini number 1. Surrender to your Kundalini number 2. Follow the inner guidance that the Kundalini gives you, number 3. Okay, and let yourself know through those 3 positions what your karma is teaching you and why. How does it fit in to, say, the fear of loss and the want of gain? How does it fit into how you treat other people? Are you a reformer? Why would you be a reformer? Were you not a reformer in another time? Were you giving people false advice in another time? So you're a reformer now, so you're balancing that karma. Okay? A lot of people still are suffering from suffering's not the right word, or experiencing karma from World War II, World War One. And what were they doing during the war? They're still dreaming of the different combatants and the different wars that they experienced. And they're learning from that. They're learning about what this life is teaching them by virtue of the karma that they're mediating from the different lives. Okay. I spoke at length about this on Blog Talk Radio, but they all got erased, and so I may have to start again. But it's very important work. Facing your karma, being okay with your karma, and not just sitting back and going, oh, it's just my karma. I don't have to do anything. It's just my karma this, my karma that. A lot of people kind of throw up their hands, and the French go, that's the French. People, practicing Islam, they go, Inshallah, it's in the arms of Allah, or, other people just go, God knows, c'est la vie. It's another French one. It's important to understand that the karma can come with you at any time, and in many different ways. And Tornik Zoidza, he says, hello there, why is suicide a bad? Suicide is a bad because your ego is terminating the life that divine grace has allowed you to further yourself towards God with. So it's a slap in the face of divinity, and that's never a good thing. Never a good thing. Tornik. So, yeah. And I want to invite anybody else to ask questions while I'm here doing this sound thing. Is the sound, Susan, is the sound still coming through with that chink in it? Cutting off a word or cutting off a whatever. I don't know if she's even still on. Let's see here. Huh. It's hard for me to tell. Oh, it's better. Well, how can that be? I mean, I haven't changed anything. Well, okay. Thank you, Susan M. Rose. I appreciate your help with that. All right. So any other questions about karma, please feel free to ask. As you have the Kundalini, and if you're in levels of resistance to the Kundalini, that karma will also come back at you. Let's see. David asks, will there be a time or level when soul will not be bonded by karma to come back on the physical world again? Yes, of course. Yes. That is definitely coming on everybody's horizon who is having the Kundalini. There will eventually become a time when you do not need to take corporeal form again. Okay? That time is coming. Here, in three-dimensional form, shall we say. I'm just using that term. When you go into different levels of existence in the multiverse, you can become a corporeal form on another planet that could still be called Earth, but has a higher vibration, has a vibration that is, say, cleaner in its ecology, in its biodiversity, cleaner in its resolution of issues, so that you're learning different things. You're still in corporeal form, but if you were that corporeal frequency, you would be a non-entity here. Okay, your frequency is so different when you're in the other dimension. Even though you still feel yourself, you still feel your hands, you can still clap, you have your body, you have everything, but you're in a different vibratory experience, and you can go there. Matter of fact, that's what happens to a lot of people, is they just basically, once they reach a certain stage, they don't need to come back to this classroom, but they go to another classroom. It's hard for the mind to grasp how complicated and broad the divine matrix is. It's complicated and simple at the same time. The further you go in, say, frequencies towards love, the less opportunity do you have to experience levels of extreme hatred or brute force, or the forces that are not, say, indicative of love. The stronger you hold the frequency of love, the stronger you hold the frequency of gratitude, the stronger you hold the frequencies in these ways, then, you know, that is determining the level of corporeal existence you will have. There are an infinity number of Earths right now. And some go into a higher dimensional, and some go into a lower dimensional. Okay. They're all Earth, but they're all they are all facets of the giant gem that is the human experience on Earth. So yeah, boy, it's getting really complex now. So yeah, if you're guided into a more loving expression of life on this world, oh yeah, okay, so you will receive, or you'll incorporate. That's the correct term. Wow, interesting. You'll incorporate a body in a frequency of the Earth, of the Earth facets that reflect more of a divine force of love. However, for Kundalini, often she tends to put us into positions where we have to really prove that love. And the only way you can really prove that love is to be in a position where that love is not so abundant. And this is also where we are able to prove our levels of tolerance, prove our levels of forgiveness, prove our levels of kindness and consideration under situations of duress. You see, these are the areas of the true strengthening of a loving force within an individual. You see what I'm saying? Boy, that was rough. That was really pulling that out of me. Tornika comes back and he says, will that be forever, or you might come back after some time? And are there... So he's talking about suicide again, and it is not forever. It is not forever. The soul will come back and continue basically where they left off, maybe with a stronger level of healing and self-validation that allows them to continue their life without suicide. So there you have it. Okay, so yeah, feel free to ask any question that you have about karma, and that, boy, that's a whole multiverse of questions. So if you have them, feel free to ask them. So continuing onward, if you have the Kundalini, and you know, you can think you're doing everything right. You can think you can think you're doing everything correct. You can think that you're following the Shakti. And you might be doing exactly what you're supposed to do, and yet you'll get slammed with a horrible, horrible, hard, difficult karma. And that's part of the deal as well. And it'll put you in a whirlwind of confusion. Well, I was doing everything right. Yes, it was a difficult situation, but I was doing everything I could do to make it right. And yes, it went wrong, but still, I was trying my best. Shakti, how come you're doing this to me? What would your mother say to you if you said that to her? What would your mom say? Think about that. That will give you the answer to that. There's just more to learn. More to learn. And in this incarnation, in the physical incarnation here, this is so much of what we learn in this incarnation is for the emotional body. Yeah. The gem of what we call love and the different facets on that extremely beautiful, terrifying gemstone that we label as love. And how do we prove our love? And how do we prove the gift of our selfless service to people? How do we express that within societal expectations of what love is and what love isn't, and what is appropriate and what isn't appropriate, and how do you discern how to take the right step, and to, are you taking the wrong step, and how do you correct that step? And all that's what this life is about for many of us. Not all of us. You got to realize that in the United States, I'll use the United States as an example. The United States is only like almost 250 years old. Absolutely nothing compared to, say, the Egyptian culture, or the Roman culture, or the Greek culture, okay, or the Sumerian cultures. These cultures lasted thousands and thousands and thousands of years. But they didn't have the level of technology or freedom that we have to learn from each other, like this internet forum right here, just what we're doing right now. Gives us an amazing level of opportunity to advance ourselves further without the barriers of social stigmata. Anybody, any race, any religion can be listening to me right now. Talk about the Kundalini. That hasn't been such a common theme in the ancient world. You had to be a certain religion. You had to be a certain ethnicity. You had to have a certain level of acceptance, social acceptance. In this case, yeah, you got to have a phone or a computer that can tie into this. And there are plenty of people that don't have that in this world. So not everybody is receiving this. But for those of us who do, we're being given a huge opportunity to enhance our karmic development, especially within the Kundalini. So do that. Go out into the world and help that stranger. I don't care what gender you are. I don't care what age you are. Help a stranger. You can open a door. You can walk them across the street. You can buy an elder person food at Taco Bell. It's not that expensive. See a lot of senior citizens eating at Taco Bell because they can get food and they can actually afford it. Do that. Do that again and again and again and again. And don't be afraid when your karma comes to you with a challenge about learning what it is to be tolerant. Learning what it is to have somebody bite your head off for doing them a favor. Learning to have gratitude even as you twist and suffer in a whirlwind of fire. Learn to forgive. deeply. Learn to appreciate the opportunity that you have to go further into your Kundalini right now. And you're hearing it in my words. You're feeling it from the voice. It's resonating with you. Acknowledge that resonance. Acknowledge the karma that has allowed you to come into this type of a life, within this type of a planet, at this stage of life, within this society. And do your best to inject copious amounts of love and appreciation, gratitude, forgiveness, kindness, tolerance, patience, honesty, and truth into this equation. Because it affects everybody and all levels of life, from the worms to the bugs to the viruses to the fungi to the cats, the dogs, the fish, the snowy egrets, the seagulls, the birds of prey, everything. And it also affects you in a very, very positive way. Extremely positive way. Do this. I hope the sound wasn't too bad. I'm going to go to the store and I'm going to see if I can find a better headphone setup. I don't know what, but I've got to. Gabriel, he said it might be the internet connection itself, and Susan's telling me that it's constantly, I'm being interrupted, skipping a beat. So I got to fix that. It's my headphone karma. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Blessings to you. Love you all. And have a beautiful day or night, or whatever it is, wherever you are, whenever you see it. Thanks for watching and listening.